Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about Kaspa because what we've seen is a lot of these newer blockchains and BLOCKDAGs and whatnot have really started to explode in price recently. And we've seen this with Sui, we've seen this with Aptos. Say's been doing well. ADA, even Cardano has come back kind of from the dead a little bit and done really quite well. And so what I wanted to talk about is Kaspa going to follow? Obviously, Kaspa's done really quite well this week, kind of like everything else in the crypto market. But Kaspa's another one that I really put on kind of that same tier of like, they should be like, they're kind of a new blockchain. They can catch the narrative that like they should be able to really pull some kind of fairly ridiculous gains. And so, I want to talk about that today. Let's not waste any more time and let's go ahead and dive right in. So starting out, what we can see is obviously crypto bubbles. Everything's had a fantastic week so far. We could see Say here, near here, ADA. We've got Sui down here, and then obviously Kaspa here. So Kaspa again, 37% up on the week, not bad at all. Things are looking pretty decent overall. Obviously not doing as well as Sui or ADA, some of these others that have kind of been some of the winners for the week. But still overall, 30%, 37% in just over a week is like not anything to scoff at, right? So this is looking pretty good. And we can see this kind of looking at the chart as well. This is just daily candles. But what we can see is, we've kind of been kind of ranging, not doing a whole lot, even a bit of a downtrend ever since kind of like the 1st of August. Not really a whole lot going on, for Kaspa. It even got to the point where it hit a low of just about 10 cents. And then obviously, the election happened, and even kind of more recently than that, Kaspa's really started to pump in price. So we've seen a really strong move here. Say, like I said, Sui, Say, Aptos, Cardano, a lot of basically anything, pick anything in crypto, and it's probably done something very similar. And so I think this is a pretty good thing for Kaspa overall. Obviously, if we were to zoom out, Kaspa's done very, very well over the past year or so. It's done fantastic. But ever since we kind of made this initial pump, we've kind of seen kind of the floor be somewhere around like 10 cents, and then the ceiling be stuck fairly hard at about the 17 to kind of 20 cent range. Hasn't really done much since then. So what we are looking is kind of for a sustained run back at that 17 to 20 cent range, a break above it, and then obviously a continuation. Obviously, we're not there yet, but we are seeing some fairly strong movement to the upside. I think, obviously we're in a point of possible recovery right now. The RSI is pulling back a little bit. So this is good, kind of giving us some more room to run. And then again, obviously we'd want to continue to see that movement to the upside. The biggest thing here is catching the narrative, right? I mean, there's a lot of narratives going on. The biggest ones are essentially kind of like the ETH killer, or I guess even more broadly at this point. I don't even know that it's an ETH killer. It's just something that can do internet level volume and speed. And that's really the biggest thing that kind of everybody's been hitting on, at least recently. And what we can see with Kaspa is kind of how it works is Kaspa's actually departed from the blockchain theory, and they're moving more towards a BLOCKDAG. So you can see this is a visualizer of how it works specifically, but it doesn't necessarily move linearly straightforward. It moves more towards like, it moves in what they call a directed acyclic graph. And so these blocks just kind of happen, and they have like different like parent-child relationships, but they all kind of connect and they move toward a certain area forward. And this is kind of more of like, it moves forward more of like a web rather than like a direct chain specifically. And so that's what we can see here. Obviously looking at, this is a quite novel idea. If we go back and look at the price, part of me wonders if some of the like lagging that we've seen in price is because this is a fairly like new and novel concept. Sui, Say, Aptos, a lot of these others, they are all blockchains, and blockchain is very familiar. Obviously Solana's blockchain, Ethereum's blockchain. So blockchain is very familiar. I think the technology is finally getting to a point where it's starting to be proven out, where Kaspa and the whole BLOCKDAG concept is still relatively new. And so we can see maybe that's potentially having a little bit of a negative impact on price. But overall, I do still think that we could see price continue and then move to the upside if we start to catch that narrative. Again, in my opinion, narrative is probably the biggest thing that you can have in crypto. And so if you can find that and really grab onto it, that is key. As you can see, I have been using BTCC for a lot of things recently. BTCC is actually partnered with the channel for the month. They're actually offering a 10% basically like cash deposit bonus when you go and transfer money using my link in the description below. So basically if you were to transfer in like $10,000, they'd give you $1,000 as kind of like a cash match. Really, really awesome deal. Also, in addition to that, you do have $10,055 of like various bonuses that you can earn upon sign up. So, I mean, frankly, it's a really, really good a really, really good deal, and definitely something that I would say is probably worth taking a look at. You can trade up to 500x leverage. Here on Kaspa, you can see that you can trade up to 50x specifically. They've got a whole bunch of crazy things that you can trade here from, kind of more of the standards that you would expect, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some things like that. They also have various like AI type things, Solana, memes, like various ecosystems, but they also have tokenized stocks, which is really neat too. And you can actually leverage trade the tokenized stocks, which is really, really cool. I think that's quite interesting. One thing that we can see that I do think is really cool about leverage trading is if you know something like this is going to happen, and you have a fairly high degree of conviction, that we're going to see something like this happen, like we have seen on Bitcoin, for example, why not even just take super, super low leverage? Let's say 5x, let's say 10x, something where you've got a very comfortable cushion that you're not going to get liquidated. But when you move up like this, I mean, we've seen a 30% move in Bitcoin, right? If you're trading 10x, that's a 300% move. So obviously, if you're trading at the right time, it can be very, very lucrative. But you just have to be careful that you're not getting too like over leveraged and getting yourself liquidated before you see that move kind of in the right direction that you might be predicting. And so, if that is something you're interested in, please do just click the link in my description below. Then you can get that 10% deposit bonus match, as well as the $10,055 in deposits, bonuses, all that type of stuff. So anyway, moving on, the next thing I want to take a look at here is the Kaspa Block Explorer, because there's a lot of interesting things that we can see with the Kaspa Block Explorer. The first thing is we can see about 1.5 to 2 blocks per second. This was a recent update that they did. Obviously, it fluctuates just depending on usage of the network, miners, all that type of stuff. Also, we can see we're moving anywhere between 1 to 2 transactions per second. Not great. It can handle a lot more. These are just the transactions that are coming through, right? So in order to like kind of test out the effectiveness and kind of the capabilities of the network, we would want to see at least 100x this, maybe even 2, 3, 4, 5, 1000x, all that type of stuff. But right now, I mean, Kaspa is able to handle the load that it is given, at least so far. We just need to see a little bit more adoption. One thing that we have seen recently is KRC20 tokens, which is essentially just very much similar to like Ethereum tokens. We can see that the ecosystem overall, decent size, pretty small in like the grand scheme of things for crypto, but like we can see, largest coin within the ecosystem, 35 million. And so this is something that I would say presents a lot of opportunity if Kaspa is kind of the ecosystem that does tend to blow up. Obviously getting into like, potentially the top meme coin within the ecosystem at 35 million. Could be an insane play, right? But again, there's a lot predicated on that. Obviously, Kaspa would have to catch steam, and then the KRC20 ecosystem within that would need to catch steam, a lot of that type of stuff. But overall, potentially a really, really strong opportunity if you are bullish on Kaspa. You can go and take a look at some of these KRC tokens, potentially even look further into them and see if there are any that look particularly interesting to you. There are several in here that have been around for quite a while, and so could potentially, provide some pretty good upside if that were to come around. The next thing I want to show you as well is just kind of an overall update of what we're seeing with the KRC20 ecosystem. We can see over 1,300 tokens deployed so far, as well as almost 80 million KRC20 transactions, which is decent given that this was only launched, I think, just over 2 months ago at this point, or I think actually might be just under 2 months, and then almost 100 million Kaspa paid in fees. So definitely like a good, like, obviously like a pretty good benefit to the Kaspa and KRC20 ecosystem. This is looking pretty good. Overall, we can see that this is very, very new. Still a lot to be seen and a lot to be learned about the Kaspa ecosystem overall. But this is exactly what we want to see, right? And so, I mean, development is happening. They've got a clear roadmap for the future of what they're wanting to see, what they're wanting to do. It's proof of work. I mean, there's a lot of people in crypto who really appreciate the proof of work algorithm. You've got BLOCKDAGs, which is a kind of a new and novel concept of blockchain. There's a lot of different like new and innovative things that we are seeing, as well as some of these old reliable things. And so there's kind of this interesting like kind of combination between the two. One thing that we have seen particularly is mining has taken off massively for Kaspa. That I would say is the most successful thing that we've seen about Kaspa so far. Obviously, some of the apps and the interactions and transactions, a lot of that stuff within Kaspa hasn't been as successful so far. So I think we're kind of waiting to see some of that happening. And if we were to go back and look at the chart, I think that's kind of is what we're seeing there. When we saw kind of that initial run up to 20 cents, that was basically fueled on the success of the mining network overall. And then we have essentially kind of when we start trading sideways is it's like, okay, well, what's next, right? Obviously we need new things, new developments, growth happening within the network in order for Kaspa to continue to appreciate in price. And we just haven't totally seen like that like product market fit or anything like really happening on Kaspa yet that would indicate something like that happening, right? So that's kind of the biggest thing that we're waiting for. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the biggest thing when we are waiting for something like this is we do need some sort of kind of catalyst that makes something happen. And also just a good narrative, right? Like if the next gen blockchain, or like what is going to be the thing that does crypto at internet scale, and people like, and there's a strong narrative and a strong community and a lot of people that believe that Kaspa could be the one, that's all you need, right? And so there's a lot of things going on, a lot of really interesting things happening. The Kaspa community is super strong. And so this is something that I don't necessarily think that like, I don't think we should be betting against Kaspa, right? Maybe don't go all in on Kaspa in case, you know, it doesn't work out or whatever. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. If you want to take that type of risk, obviously you're going to be a much, much larger beneficiary than somebody who maybe splits their money between 20 different tokens or whatever, right? So anyway, hopefully the information in this video was useful. If it was, please do give me a like and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, I do try to read and respond to all of my comments. So dropping those in the comment section below would be a great way to get my attention and also, you know, have me see anything that you're wanting me to see. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.